Chapter 4. Said, Sam led me to his car. I wasn't sure it was legally his car, but it was the one he had a key to. As I secured myself in the passenger seat, I noticed a baby car seat in the back with what looked like fresh blood stains covering it. Sam slid behind the wheel and started the motor up. "Where are we going?" I asked. "Don't worry about that. I have a special place where I like to perform certain rites. A quiet little place downtown where we won't be disturbed. And for what we need to do, we are going to need absolute silence," he said as the car pushed forward. He drove with the headlights off, fast and quiet, careening down dark, empty streets. I had lived in Los Angeles most of my life, and I was seeing streets and neighborhoods I hadn't known existed. I had a million questions nagging at me, but every time I looked to Sam, they left me. I could only think of all the things he had done to be there with me, the lives lost. "You killed all those people," I said. "What?" "When you broke out." "Yes, we've already discussed this." "I know, but it's really starting to hit me. You took innocent lives like they were nothing. How could you do that?" I asked. Sam looked over at me with a puzzled look on his face, as though he was surprised I had even asked the question. "You and I aren't like them, Jake. We exist on a different level. The fates of a few unremarkable souls are of little consequence in the face of our goals. We have been burdened with a terrible curse, and I see now that it is my obligation to help you. Don't let the petty little things distract you." "Little things? Killing 6 innocent people is a little thing?" I asked. I looked over at Sam, and there was no reaction on his face. He just kept his eyes focused on the road, and his expression was still as stone. My uneasiness with the whole affair was beginning to grow, but I was seeing there wasn't much chance of backing out. An hour later, we finally reached the downtown area. Sam was sailing down all the back roads and less traveled routes. As we were driving along a particularly bumpy road, I could hear a distinct thumping coming from the trunk, like there was something heavy stored inside. "Don't mind that," he said preemptively. I wasn't very well acquainted with the sensation of fear, but that was the only way I could describe how I felt as I rode along with Sam. I wasn't sure why I was. I had the demon within me, but I had a feeling the demon liked Sam and would do what it could to help him do whatever it was he was planning to do. I had to be free, though. Anything and everything was worth being free from the monstrosity that dwelled in my soul. I didn't much like how I had to go about it, but I couldn't worry about that. I was too close. The car finally stopped in a dark parking lot of a large building. It looked like some dilapidated warehouse or factory. The asphalt was broken and cracked, and weeds were growing up out of it. "Is this it?" I asked, with some reservation. "My little home away from home? Yes. It looks condemned." "It has been. Come," Sam said as he headed toward the broken down building. I followed behind cautiously. The faint sound of the freeway nearby could be heard as we got closer. I could also hear the flutter of helicopters in surrounding neighborhoods. I looked around and saw one just a few blocks away, shining its light down on the buildings below. "You sure no one is going to notice us here?" I asked. "I've been hiding out here for years. No one comes around here anymore," Sam assured. We walked along the side of the building and found a small door on the side. It was even darker. Sam pulled the door open easily and motioned for me to enter. The inside was about as nice as the outside. The floor was covered in dirt and dust. The walls were cracked, and the structural beams holding the place up looked like they were about to break. Each step we took echoed against the walls. "How old is this place?" "It was built in the 30s or 40s or so. It used to be a clothing warehouse, but the city closed it down in '83. It's been vacant since then." "And no one comes out here anymore?" "Not since they've been trying to pretty up this area. Everyone knows all about the pretty new buildings on the other side of the boulevard. I'm not sure if they'll even get around to demolishing this old wreck," Sam said as he began lighting candles all along the main floor. As he did, I could see a large pentagram drawn along the floor. My blood began to heat up. but I knew it was the demon. So we're just going to do this. Unless you'd like a glass of wine and some foreplay first, Sam said jokingly. No, no, it's just this is really happening. It's what you wanted, isn't it? It is. I just never thought it would happen. Well, it's happening now. We need to get this done as soon as possible. Take your place on the floor, Sam instructed. Wait, what? Sam came back. I noticed a shade of irritation. Can we even do this now? Don't we need to wait for a certain night or cycle of the moon or something? That won't be required for this procedure. You've got the demon, and I'm simply going to extract it. Now, take your place. Okay, where is my place? Wow, you are really green, aren't you? Just lay down on the pentagram with your legs together and arms spread wide. You had all this ready? I asked as I got down to the floor. I wiped away a good deal of dust and noticed the pentagram crumbled a bit, the same as the letters on Sam's note. I've had that on the floor for years. Most of what I do requires it, so I just left it. Saves a lot of time, Sam said as he turned to me. He held a large knife in his hand. What's that? The first part of this right, Sam said as he knelt beside me. He pinned my arms down and stabbed the knife into my arm, drawing blood. It didn't hurt, but I was a bit surprised. What's that for? We need to introduce you and the demon to the circle, Sam said as he dripped my blood along the pentagram. Every ceremony is unique and personal. There's no room for any generality, he said. I looked over and saw the cut begin to heal before my eyes. You may miss that, Sam noted. Maybe. The light of the candles was flickering along the walls, casting long shadows across the room. I heard no sounds from the outside. Sam produced a book from a dark corner and took his place before me. He began to speak. I felt a cool breeze blow past me. The candlelight started to shift and wave wildly. I could hear the jingle of chains from high above. A low moan started to permeate through the walls. Sam's chanting grew louder and louder. The breeze became more intense. I felt my skin grow cold, but my blood was heating up. I felt an unbearable burning tear through my body. My muscles tensed, and I felt sharp pains in my legs and arms. This doesn't feel right, I shouted, but Sam persisted with his chants. A stabbing pain shot through my chest. I clenched my hands tightly. I felt something come up from my stomach and fill my mouth. My eyes burned, and the sensation of 1,000 hooks clawing at my intestines came over me. I turned my head away, and my mouth opened and let loose a torrent of black liquid. It poured out of me so fast I couldn't control it. I felt as though the bile was pushing out every organ in my body. My stomach seized into my body, and I grew stiff. A hard gust of cold air blew through and extinguished the candles. Sam's voice went silent. I could only hear the gentle chatter of the chains high above us. A soft orange light filled the room, and I could hear a low, heavy breath. Jake? Sam asked in a calm, controlled tone. Yes. You're alive? Yes, I said. I heard a loud, fleshy slap, like a giant bare foot stomping against concrete. I tried to sit up, but my torso seized, and I fell back. An inhuman growl rumbled from the shadows. I struggled to turn on my side, and I looked to where I heard the growl come from. It was just darkness. I stared into the blank void for what felt like hours until I began to see it. Some sort of lumbering form just beyond sight was lurking. Then I saw two eyes glowing low. I felt the warmth of its breath as it shot past me. How do you feel? Sam asked, his voice coming from nowhere. I feel empty, I said lowly. I felt hollow and light. The weight of the demon was off me, but I could then feel outside my body. It was there, right before me. The pain began to ease, and I started to feel my legs again. I slowly turned on my back and felt my body unfold into a normal position. I got to my feet with some effort. I looked around, but the faint light of the candle did not allow me to spot Sam or the demon. A loud, shrill bang of metal shook the space. Dust came pouring down from above. Another loud bang, and shattered glass rained down just before me. The walls began to shake, and the floor became unsteady. I turned, but before I could see anything, I felt something like knives brushing against me. I fell back, and as I got my bearings, I realized I had 3 long slashes across my chest. I looked up, and a large, hulking form hung above me from the ceiling, drool dripping from its mouth. Its eyes were brighter. I heard large claws scratching against metal. By instinct, I rolled away, and as I did, something big and heavy hit the floor and tore through it. I got up and still couldn't see Sam anywhere. A huge roar blared out, and my ears began to burn. I bolted for the door I had entered from, and as I hit it, it burst open. I scrambled across the parking lot. I saw Sam's car sitting alone, but I ran past it and climbed over the chain link fence that penned in the entire property. I kept running until I put at least 5 blocks between me and the demon. I sat down at a bus stop, and I was able to calm down, and that's when I could really feel the difference. It was quiet, and I couldn't hear any voices. My body felt at least 100 pounds lighter. I looked down and then noticed the 3 cuts along my chest had not healed, and the blood was spreading. I pulled my shirt together to hide as much as I could, and then I heard a roar in the direction I had just been coming from. I got up and started running again, but I failed to look ahead, and I felt a car slide into my hips, and I tumbled forward. Cars screeched to sudden stops all around me, and soon a crowd of onlookers surrounded me. I heard some guy apologizing to me for not seeing me, and several others asking if I was all right. I tried to speak, but couldn't find my breath. I felt my eyes grow heavy, and then I heard some guy notice my bleeding scars and yelled out for someone to call for help.